Good day to you all. That sounds a bit antiquated, doesn't it? This is the third day of my journey of reading poetry out loud and talking about it. I'm recovering from my COVID infection, but I'm still feeling pretty weak. But I'm negative, so I can leave my room and walk about. I have to take it slowly. So doing this is quite comforting, and it's supposed to be good for my voice and my breathing anyway, so let's keep going. I want to talk a little bit about the poem I read to you yesterday, Do Not Stand at My Grave and Weep, by Mary Elizabeth Frye. Mary Elizabeth Frye was born in 1905 and spent her life as a poet and a housewife. And although she is quite known now, she didn't actually earn any money for the poetry that she wrote, and really it's only this poem that has given her a name and for which she is known. And her idea was that if she took money for the poem, then it would lose its value, which is an interesting aspect. And she didn't even make an attempt to have the copyright for the poem. Because she thought the poem belonged to the world, and it does, because it's been used in so many ways, on sympathy cards, on headstones. It's been read out aloud at many, many, many funerals and memorial services. And this attitude made her very beloved among poets. But even though she only had this one very, very well-known poem, and she didn't actually have any formal education at all. This poem was named Britain's most popular poem in 1996. And it's still very popular. The reason why she wrote the poem was for a young German Jewish girl whose name was Margaret Schwarzkopf, who lived together with Frye. And the little girl was worried about her mother, who was still living in Germany. So Elizabeth Frye wrote the poem trying to take the point of view of the girl's mother, with the aim of comforting the girl who had already suffered so much. And in 1939, the US Congress published her poem for the United Spanish War Veterans Memorial Service, and the effect of the poem was monumental. So this is how she became very famous, through this one small poem. In the poem, Do Not Stand at My Grave and Weep, what she tries to do is to portray the fact that death is not the ending of a life, but in a way the beginning of another, be it the beginning of someone's life in our hearts and in our memories. And the first part of the poem, or the first line indeed, Do not stand at my grave and weep, is quite authoritative, and she's commanding those who are mourning her not to stand there weeping. And then later on, when she makes comparisons, or not comparisons, but when she describes where she can be found, 1,000 winds that blow, or quiet birds in circle flight, diamond glints on snow. This is not such a commanding voice, but is more of a comforting voice, so that the mourners can think about where they can find her, and are encouraged in a way to think of their own places where they can find her. And this allows the mourners to understand that they still have the possibility of feeling her presence, even if she's not physically there anymore. But at the end of the poem, she again reassumes quite a commanding tone and tells the mourners not to cry for her again, and makes it clear that her body may be buried where they are standing, but her soul is not confined to the grave, and she's already described where she can be found. And she claims that she's existing in all the beautiful elements of nature, and I think that's a very comforting and beautiful thought. By the way, at the beginning I told you that I was reading from the book 365 Poems for Life, and that there was a poem for each day. I have to admit that I am not reading the specific poem for each day as it is designated in the book. I've rummaged around a bit, but I'm staying in the month of November, so that much I'm adhering to the structure of the book. The poem I'm going to read today is called Funeral Blues, in brackets, Stop All the Clocks, by W.H. Auden, who lived from 1907 to 1973. And this is also quite a well-known poem, at the latest since the film 4 Weddings and a Funeral, which some of you might have seen. And if not, it's still worth watching. It's from 1994. And in it you can see a rather young Hugh Grant and Andie MacDowell as the main protagonists. And Hugh Grant plays Charles, a bachelor, who is unable to express his feelings to a woman he's attracted to. That seems to be a running theme with him. And it takes 4 weddings and a funeral, so 5 social occasions, for him to begin to realise actually what his true feelings are and what he really wants, and to make him able to express these feelings to the woman he loves. I have often wondered at whose person's funeral I would feel like this, like it's depicted in the poem. And the truth is, I think you don't know until it happens how deep a loss you feel for someone, and sometimes you can be surprised. It's a bit of an admission, but my relationship to my mother wasn't the most loving, and I was surprised. Surprised is not the right word, but it turned out that I was with her when she died and alone, and I wrote her eulogy and chose everything that was read at her cremation. And I never imagined myself doing that. So whatever you might think, things might change when the day comes. Funeral Blues, Stop All the Clocks, by W.H. Auden. Stop all the clocks. Cut off the telephone. Prevent the dog from barking with a juicy bone. Silence the pianos with a muffled drum. Bring out the coffin. Let the mourners come. Let aeroplanes circle, moaning overhead, scribbling on the sky the message: he is dead. Put crepe bows around the white necks of the public doves. Let the traffic policemen wear black cotton gloves. He was my north, my south, my east and west, my working week and my Sunday rest, my noon, my midnight, my talk, my song. I thought that love would last forever. I was wrong. The stars are not wanted now. Put out every one. Pack up the moon and dismantle the sun. Pour away the ocean and sweep up the wood. For nothing now can ever come to any good.